Most all-terrain tire lists still reward the tire that looks the most extreme. Then pretend that is the same thing as smart daily ownership. But everyday use is where most people actually live. Wet pavement, highway miles, potholes, winter mornings, errands, commutes, and only then the occasional campsite or dirt road. That is the trap with all-terrain shopping in general. The category makes it easy to chase the most dramatic sidewall, the most aggressive tread pattern, or the brand with the loudest reputation, but those things do not automatically translate into the best ownership experience. So the tires that rise to the top here are the ones that still make sense after comfort, weather, confidence, tread life, and real off-pavement usefulness all get an equal vote. What matters most is how these tires handle the kind of miles people actually drive, not just how aggressive they look parked at the curb. The best everyday all-terrain is not the one that shouts the loudest on day one. It is the one that still feels smart after rain, potholes, cold starts, highway miles, and the occasional dirt road detour all start exposing the weak choices. Stay with me, because the tire at the top is the one that still makes sense once normal life starts taking priority over thumbnail drama. At number 7, Kumho Road Venture AT52 lands here because it opens the list as the underrated value play that still brings real winter and everyday credibility. Kumho backs the Road Venture AT52 with a 55,000-mile warranty on P-metric sizes and 50,000 miles on LT sizes, plus severe snow certification. Independent comparison testing has treated it as a serious value option rather than a throwaway budget pick, and Kumho also talks about quiet on-road behavior. That combination gives it a stronger daily driver story than many low-cost aggressive tires. It makes the most sense for buyers who want one practical all-terrain set for commuting, changing weather, and light dirt road use without spending top-tier money. That is the kind of difference drivers notice after the first few thousand miles, when the daily reality matters more than the sales pitch. The AT52 sounds smarter than its price tier suggests, especially for daily drivers who want capability without unnecessary drama. That is what makes it such an easy everyday recommendation once the real-world trade-offs come into focus. What keeps it from climbing higher is the names above it have stronger refinement depth, broader owner history confidence, or more complete all-around polish. Drivers who want honest daily usability can still make a very sensible case for it, and if you want that same practical honesty with an even more established road use reputation, the next tire moves the conversation forward. At number 6, General Grabber ITX lands here because it is one of the easiest practical recommendations for a truck or SUV that has to do normal life first. General backs the Grabber ITX with up to a 60,000-mile warranty, severe snow certification, and a 45-day trial. More importantly for everyday use, its reputation is built on honest winter ability, decent road manners, and enough durability to handle weekday miles without feeling like overkill. It fits owners who want winter certification, decent road manners, and enough toughness to handle gravel, bad weather, and weekend detours without turning every weekday drive into a compromise. That matters most once the tire has to live through commutes, weather swings, and all the unglamorous miles that expose a weak choice fast. That practical, honest character is exactly why it keeps showing up in everyday use lists. For drivers who care more about honest daily usability than showy tread drama, that is a pretty strong argument. The only thing holding it back is the 5 tires ahead sound sharper in either refinement, current momentum, or broader day-to-day confidence. That still leaves it as a very believable choice for the buyer it fits best. The next tire starts leaning harder into the polished, modern side of daily all-terrain ownership. At number 5, Yokohama Geoland RT4 lands here because it feels like the civilized all-terrain for buyers who want modern polish without losing category credibility. Yokohama backs the Geoland RT4 with up to a 65,000-mile warranty on Eurometric sizes and 55,000 miles on LT sizes, plus severe snow certification. For everyday use, the interesting part is how often it gets described as smooth and quiet without losing real off-road credibility. This tire suits drivers who spend most of their time on pavement, still care about cabin calm and steering feel, and only need enough trail or weather headroom to stay ready for normal adventure use. That is where a tire stops being a nice idea on paper and starts proving whether it actually fits the life of the vehicle. That mix of smoother road behavior and real all-terrain legitimacy makes it a natural everyday contender. That is what gives it a clear audience instead of making it just another all-terrain option. If that is where your priorities land, this tire makes a lot of sense. The reason it stops here is the top 4 still bring stronger overall momentum or a more convincing blend of daily comfort and broader capability. That still leaves it as a convincing everyday choice for drivers who want less drama and more consistency. And the next option goes even further into road manners without leaving the all-terrain lane behind. At number 4, Continental Terrain Contact. T lands here because it is the road manners specialist of the group, and maybe the easiest all-terrain to recommend to comfort-sensitive drivers. Continental and Tire Rack both frame the Terrain Contact T as an on-road all-terrain first. It carries a 60,000-mile warranty and a strong owner feedback story built around wet traction, comfort, and calm road behavior over millions of reported miles. That is why it shows up so often when the buyer cares more about livability than image alone. It is especially strong for light-duty trucks, family SUVs, and crossover-based buyers who want wet road reassurance and quiet highway behavior without giving up the tougher look and useful flexibility of an all-terrain. That detail matters because real ownership is about how the tire behaves after the novelty is gone and the ordinary miles take over. That matters because everyday use is mostly pavement, and Continental sounds like it understands that reality better than most. That is why the appeal here feels specific rather than generic. That alone is enough to put it on the shortlist for the right buyer. It comes up just short because the top three bring stronger rugged identity or broader all-condition confidence once you zoom out. That does not erase the case for it. It just defines who it suits best. That brings us to a tire with a more old-school, tough reputation, but a stronger daily case than many people assume. At number 3, BF Goodrich. All-terrain TA-KO3 lands here because it proves an off-road icon can still make a strong everyday case when weather and durability matter. BF Goodrich gives the KO3 a 50,000-mile warranty and the evolved reputation of one of the segment's most trusted off-road names. Recent winter-focused testing treated it very seriously, especially for snow traction, which helps separate it from aggressive-looking rivals that sound better in marketing than in ugly weather. It still feels like a toughness-first tire, but it has more real-world flexibility than many people expect. The KO3 fits the owner who values winter traction, brand trust, and harder-duty confidence more than maximum softness, and wants a tire that still feels ready when conditions get ugly. That becomes important once the tire has to deal with normal roads, rough patches, changing weather, and the kind of use no brochure can smooth over. That stronger snow and durability story is why it ranks so well even in a daily use conversation. That is why it feels like a real daily driver answer instead of a tire that only sounds good in theory. For ordinary use with weather and mileage in the mix, it stays easy to understand. It settles into this spot because the top two are easier to recommend to a broader range of drivers with fewer rough edges. If those strengths matter most to you, the case for it is still easy to make. One of those broad use answers is a familiar all-rounder, and the winner feels even more complete than that. At number 2, Toyo Open Country AT3 lands here because it rarely sounds out of place in any daily driver conversation. Toyo backs the Open Country AT3 with up to a 65,000-mile warranty depending on size, and the tire carries the severe snow symbol. Its appeal is broad competence, dependable wet road behavior, useful winter credibility, and quieter road manners than many old-school all-terrain designs. It keeps appearing near the top of mixed-use rankings because it rarely sounds out of place. It is a superb fit for buyers who want one tire to handle commuting, road trips, rain, shoulder season weather, and moderate off-pavement use without leaning too hard in any one direction. That is exactly the sort of thing owners feel later when the road gets rough, the weather shifts, and the tire has to justify itself without excuses. That broad competence is exactly why the Toyo keeps sounding smarter than flashier options. For a truck that has to handle normal life without excuses, it comes across as a very easy tire to live with. Toyo only gives up ground because Falcon brings the same broad usefulness of slightly stronger current test momentum and value signals. For plenty of owners, that gap will feel small. At number 1, Falcon Wild Peak T4W lands here because it looks like the most complete everyday all-terrain tire on the market right now. Falcon gives the Wild Peak T4W up to a 65,000-mile warranty on non-LT sizes and 60,000 miles on LT sizes, plus severe snow certification and road hazard coverage. Tire reviews gave it standout praise for comfort, low noise, and value, while tire rack owner sentiment also leans strongly positive. That combination matters because it makes the tire sound refined enough for daily life and serious enough for real off-pavement use. It fits the buyer who wants one answer instead of a long list of compromises: commuting, weather, highway miles, and real off-pavement use in one package. That matters because the wrong tire usually does not reveal itself on day one. It shows up later through noise, wear, nervous behavior, or simple annoyance. The comfort story, the certification story, and the current test story all line up in the right direction at the same time. That is the point where this tire starts to feel like a smart match rather than just a familiar name. That is usually all it takes for the right buyer to understand the draw. What pushes Falcon to the top is how complete it sounds once daily life, weather, and real off-pavement use all start pulling on the same tire. That is the kind of all-around answer most everyday drivers are actually looking for. So the order comes together like this: Kumho Road Venture AT52, General Grabber ITX, Yokohama Geoland RT4, Continental Terrain Contact AT-BF, Goodrich KO3, Toyo Open Country AT3, and Falcon Wild Peak AT4W on top. The everyday use question is really about which tire still feels right after the interstate miles, grocery runs, rain, winter mornings, and random gravel road detours all get a vote. That also explains why the right answer changes from driver to driver. Some owners care most about quiet highway miles. Others put winter grip, tougher looks, towing confidence, or long-term value first. Falcon makes the strongest everyday case because it sounds like the tire most likely to stay satisfying after the easy first impression wears off and the real miles begin. The real takeaway is simple. The best everyday all-terrain is the one that keeps making sense after the commute, the rainstorm, and the weekend detour all show up in the same month.